Hello, hello. Welcome to Candlestick Men Coffee with Traders,
Hey.
episode 5. Join us every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And yes, today we do have a smaller crew. The
Yes.
Bully Knight is out on a secret mission. We can't talk about it.
Yeah.
And we have Z Money,
On
who's
the
going to
way.
be strolling in shortly here. And
Definitely.
we're going to have to see what kind of excuse he has. He has to be really creative today.
Yeah.
So, guys, what's been going on this week? Is there a ceasefire? Isn't there a ceasefire from a commoner like myself? What's happening?
There's some definite, mm, I would say escalations, right? I would call them escalations because at the end of the day, right, the blockade recently got extended, right? And now there's talks of it being extended for months by the Trump administration, right? So that's a big escalation, a big headline that's coming about. And so oil, right, has been slowly creeping up throughout the week and now has just popped as a result of this news, right? So
What's it at right now?
so right now it's around
110.
yeah, it's around
110 already?
yep.
Wow.
And then Brent's at 117,
Yeah, it's close to
118,
120.
right?
Yeah.
So, what stock are you guys watching right now that our viewers should be keeping an eye on?
So of course we've been talking for a while now about EONR. We've been talking about TPET. We've been talking about Anna. So like EONR is the perfect she's like our baby.
Yeah.
So like she's pretty cool. The stock is really explosive. So like you put it in 1,000 shares at 80 cents and it pops to $1.50. You're making quite a bit of money. You know what I mean? So that's one of the ones that we really like. Anna's really good one. We talked about it quite a few times for natural gas. So like the key said. So actually I have a question for you guys.
Yeah.
So we talked about last week about like, oh, what do you think we're gonna see, right? Do we think we're gonna see escalations, de-escalations? So it's kind of cool now that in real time, like, were we right? And I remember we both said that we would see different ways of escalation,
Yeah.
right? And I personally thought that there was going to be a little bit more like attacking, which I wasn't completely on the dot out, but the blockade though.
Yeah.
You want to speak to it about that?
Yeah, I think that we saw like a definite like I think our thesis was partially right in the sense that there was escalation and I think things are continuing to brew, right? It's like I mean, I like to think of it as like a ticking time bomb almost, right? Where, Iran, right? Their culture, we talked about their culture, right? They're not going to put up with this, right? As time goes on, they're not going to put up with the fact that the US is cutting off their port, right?
Yeah.
And so sooner rather than later, either the US will have to give up their blockade or Iran will have to strike the blockade. So,
Now, didn't Iran propose a peace plan to open up the strait? Was that an actual? Because I think it was Al Jazeera that reported that Iran had offered peace talks,
Yeah.
and the White House didn't accept.
So basically, what happened was they offered a plan that would basically reduce, or not reduce, I don't like that word. I would rather say that they're going to start off things just kind of like a starting ground. And then before I continue, we got Z Money back in the ground. What's up, bro? Looking really good.
Look at this.
You
What's
matching
up?
the green mic, bro. You're
Oh,
matching the mic.
Good to
so
be
tell
here,
us, why couldn't you make it here on time at 2 p.m.?
bro. I got I got pulled over
What?
for riding in the carpool lane by myself.
But don't you have a Tesla?
Yeah, but they took away the restriction.
Yeah.
That's what I said to
Oh.
the cop. I was like, "Aren't I allowed to be here?" And then
He said no.
yeah,
Oh man.
So did you get away with it?
That's a
yeah, it was a good little warning.
That's
Okay,
cool.
that's
That's cool.
good.
That's
Because
cool.
that's like a what, a two, three, $400.
Yeah, dude, those ones are spiked up.
I'm glad to touch you out on how to like use your sale tactics against rebuttals and stuff. So that's pretty cool, you know?
Yeah, it worked out.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
so we were talking about the blockade
The
and
peace
also the
treaty.
Strait of Hormuz still being closed.
Yeah,
And we had talked about Iran offering a
Peace proposal.
ceasefire or truce of some sort, and then the U.S. not accepting.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't know if you're up to date on this stuff.
yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on that?
No,
What's
we don't wanna
my
put the pressure on you.
What's my thoughts? I'm not sure. It's kind of like it's like a messed up situation, you know.
Yeah.
For the first time, Iran's kind of like open to the negotiations and wanting to do something, and now it's the U.S. saying like, nah, you know. When prior it was the U.S. saying like we're gonna have these negotiations, we're sending J.D. Vance and to
Did JD actually do anything over there?
no, he came back empty-handed.
Okay.
He
Him
just
and Kushner.
yeah, and Kushner. But
Man.
so yeah, it's a little messed up situation they got going on. It's a little back and forth. Go ahead.
Also, what adds to that is, well, one of the reasons for our audience to understand why the peace proposal didn't work is the fact that Iran wants to start off a kind of like starting ground so they can continue production, so the world can regain oil supply. But the US is saying, no, we want to have a more like complete proposal, which means no uranium enrichment for you guys. We have control with the ports and the Strait of Hormuz. So right now it's a very like tricky situation because, like you said before, it was the US not accepting, but now but before it was Iran not accepting, now it's Iran posing it. So it's kind of interesting to see how that'll work out. And then I think the key has something to say about that.
Yeah, the Rogue brings up a good point because, like I was mentioning, we're getting into a little bit of a linchpin now, right? So there's really no end right now. It's either,
That's what it's looking like.
yeah, it's either the U.S. capitulates, which we know they're not going to do, right? I mean, we're too mighty of a presence, right? Or Iran has to give up their uranium, which we also know they're not going to do, right?
What's gonna happen? I mean, what do you think is gonna be the end result of this?
I think we're leading down the road of potentially another escalation through strikes,
Okay.
through more bombing.
Actually, you know what's a really good like point on this? So I don't know if people are keeping up with the news, but the UAE left OPEC. So basically, what that gives the UAE able to do is to charge whatever prices they want because they're no longer restricted or constricted into the prices of OPEC and produce more oil. So they can now control their production and control price without having to limit their production.
Interesting. Now, wasn't the UAE the same country that gave the president of the United States a very lavish airplane gift?
I think it was the UAE, yeah, right? It's,
And didn't they also give him quite a bit of funding?
So there was a lot of that, but that's why I bring the point up because
That seems awfully suspicious
See-
from a conspiracy standpoint.
you're 100% right. And that's why I bring it up because I kind of want to see what you think and what our viewers think that if we have a mighty country like UAE, it might not be big in size, but it is big in funding and in power, and they just leave OPEC, what do you think Iran will do? They'll just stop listening to the UN. They'll stop listening to all of this stuff. They'll just start doing whatever they want. And to be honest, the US is trying to kind of get them, but right now they're not able to.
Now,
So that's pretty cool.
before this escalation, before this exercise, right, in Iran, the dollar was getting a little weak,
Mm-hmm.
and gold was getting, I mean, it hit an all-time high
Yeah.
in 2025. What was it, 55, a little over 5,500.
5,500, yeah.
And then coincidentally, there's this war in Iran or this exercise, and now the dollar's very strong. Gold's dropped about $1,000,
Mhm.
give or take. Is it what, 4,800?
4,600.
4,600.
4550
Yeah.
actually.
And now you're telling me this thing about OPEC. I mean, if one were to connect the dots, and if one were to follow the money,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what do you think?
You're very right.
So there's a couple things to when we say this, right? We do have to keep in mind that gold was the most profitable trade before this war, right? So at the end of the day, with this war coming in, like I believe the bullion I mentioned this concept, right, is that people are going to take their profits on the most profitable trade, right? But what you're mentioning is interesting, right? Because at the end of the day, this coincidence, right, of these actions could have been something to prop up the dollar,
Certainly did that, and the market is pretty strong right now.
That as well.
But is that a real strength? Is that a real strength, or is that a kind of prop up? And that's what everybody's talking about now. Is there a bubble that's gonna pop? Is that what we're doing? Is that why are people starting to go into beyond AI like we are? Like these are the things I'm starting to think about, like critical metals, like CRML. These are the things that are not propped up because they're genuine resources. They're genuine investments that will actually have an effect on the future of the society.
Tell me about Beyond AI.
Sure. So Beyond AI is, so we all know AI is taking people's jobs, and we know people are being devastated. We're hearing stories day in, day out on how people are studying 4, 5, 6 years, and then once they get out, they can't even get a job because AI already replaced them. Like I know some people here.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, I know. So like you kind of had some of that experience because he was studying like in computer science, right? So you're seeing that. You're seeing even like surgeons use AI for certain procedures, and you're gonna start seeing that develop over time.
Do you know, I saw a video of this guy at his doctor, and he was candidly recording with his camera, and his doctor's literally sitting in front of the computer, and the doctor's asking him questions, and he was on the doctor was on ChatGPT plugging in the answers that his patient was giving him. It blew my mind. I'm like, what?
I was at an accounting panel for like the future CPAs in society, and they were all saying that within the business model, they have a specific AI bot that basically does all the accounting work, does the journal entries, does all the taxing. So I was sitting there, I was like, dang, dude, like if they already have it to this point, like imagine where it's going to be in another year. So that brings me up
Yeah.
to what is beyond AI. Beyond AI is investing into things like agriculture, like infrastructure, stuff like that, because everybody needs food. Everybody needs a home to live in. Homelessness is extremely high. People are hungry. People are always going to need those specific two commodities. And then rare earth metals like CRML and all that stuff, these stocks that invest into mines like that look into copper and silver and gold and other critical metals and precious metals, other critical metals, they are very useful in AI. So you need them in the hospitals. Like copper is very useful in these data centers and all that stuff, and in all the automation and all these robots and all that stuff. They all need these metals. So with Beyond AI, well, I would say
Yeah,
earlier.
yeah. I was gonna say that the rogue is on a good track here with describing what Beyond AI is, right? And there's one extra point that I want to mention, right? In all of these, specifically rare earth metals, right? So the Bullionite. I mean, if you miss his face, go watch the Bullionite moment, right? Yeah,
He covers
he covers
CRML.
he covers CRML, right? And he brought up a couple good points, right? So in addition to this oil shock that's happening, right? There's a lot of manufacturing problems. There's a lot of export problems when it happens to cutting off a supply chain with the Strait of Hormuz, right? So one thing to mention about these critical earth metals, right, and specifically stocks like CRML, right, is that when it comes down to people like you guys who are losing your jobs potentially, right, who are upset about this AI takeover, take advantage of the fact that you can make money off of what is being used to build all of these data centers, to build this infrastructure, right? Critical metals are what's used in computer chips, in data centers. So if you're upset, take advantage of the run, right? Don't just sit and pout. Take advantage of investing into companies like CRML, investing into rare earth mines, right? That's why we're starting this Beyond AI movement, right? And so, like, there's always things that you can do to take action, right? And one of those things is to take advantage of what's happening instead of just being upset about it.
It's like the AI revolution right now.
Mhm.
One other thing too is that we do work with AI here and there for certain tasks, because it is like having an assistant, and AI is not always accurate. So always do your research on what AI tells you, because I've caught multiple times AI not being accurate, and I'll call it out because I know the industry, and we're like, oh, you're absolutely right. Let me redo my research. So you can't trust everything that AI says, but AI is fantastic for troubleshooting and also for getting ideas. So if you are one of those people that maybe lost your job or were replaced by AI, we had people last week from Meta complaining that they're now being monitored very extensively, because they're training AI to do what these people are doing. So they're monitoring keystrokes, mouse movements, even eye movements, so they can train this AI to basically take this person's job. So if you are one of those people, I highly recommend hop on one of these. Gemini, there's Claude, there's ChatGPT. Find your favorite, Grok even, and shoot some ideas. Hey, I just lost my job. I'm in this industry. What can I do to make money? Just troubleshoot with AI and see what it comes up with, because it's a great way for you to maybe get an idea on how to start a side gig or a side hustle, or maybe you have a passion project that's been shelved for so long. And this could be a great opportunity for you to maybe take that step and lean into the discomfort and find something that AI can make you money with. So
I think you bring up a good point. Also, combined to us, if you are interested in investing and surviving in this new digital age and evolving and adapting, of course. But within the last couple of minutes of our podcast, I kind of want to talk about some of the fun things, So I know we all use AI in our daily lives, whether it's for school or for work or just finishing our pesky tasks. But where do you see how do you see AI like actually making fun for you? You know, is that finding alien websites, or is that helping you design a specific brand, or I don't know about you.
I mean, I think AI can be very useful. I mean, there's so many ways you can automate stuff now and use it to your advantage, and that just creates like free time for you. You know,
What do you do in your free time? Put on the spot.
I don't have free time right now, but
If you were to have free time, what would you do?
I'd probably play some basketball.
Nice, man.
Yeah, yeah,
All right.
that's my
All right.
go-to.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite
Who's my favorite team
player
player
all time?
all time? I mean, LeBron's a goat, obviously, like no question. Better than Michael Jordan.
Wow.
I knew he'd like that.
Don't
one.
unsubscribe just because he said that. Michael Jordan is amazing.
But yeah, I just think AI has so many capabilities, and like I think that's fun to me that you can use it and however your brain can work, you know, and that gives you the capability to do so much, whether that's like giving you free time or using it to like create something brand new. There's just so much you could do with it, and I it kind of sucks that there's such a negative connotation around it. Like I know it's taking jobs and all that, but there's so much that like is possible now with it.
We know who's going to be turned into an AI slave. The #1 worker.
I use it to my advantage.
I actually have a
What-
question for all of you guys.
Okay, but before you ask your question, I have a question for Z Money, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so I was thinking about what you were talking about, right? And I'm curious. Okay, so we have this conflict going on, right? Okay,
What's the
if you like the Middle East conflict, yeah.
I wasn't sure you're talking about an inter-office conflict.
Yeah.
Right? Or
Okay.
world.
So
conflict.
if you like put yourself in the shoes of AI, right? And you were forced to be the leader, okay, on either side, pick your side, okay? There's no right or wrong answer, okay?
Stone for one
Yeah.
answer. All right.
How are you solving this? Give me like 2 sentences. That's AI should be able to give me that.
How to solve the conflict.
Yeah.
Solve the conflict in the Middle East as an AI bot.
Yeah, as an AI bot.
You can
You
really do
see
it as a human bot.
Devastation on both sides. I think it's good to just retreat and build your own infrastructures back.
Okay.
So how would
Part is friends.
Part is friends.
Part as friends.
That's a good way.
Okay.
I feel like I don't want to dig deeper into that ChatGPT problem because then it gets like messed up. But I have a question for you guys. So if you were to make would you make a bot of yourself so people to stop leaving you alone? So like I know some people here are a little bit more extroverted than others, and some people are more introverted than others. So what I've been seeing people do, and then I don't know if you guys saw that one show where this IT guy like created a bot for this guy. So whenever his like mother-in-law texts him, the AI bot responds for him, like so he custom all that. Is that something you guys would do?
Val's bot would get arrested immediately. I can tell you that right now.
Why would my bot get arrested?
Yeah, it would all be like UFO knowledge, and then it would start like spitting out government secrets, and then just get arrested.
Speaking of which, this is a great segue into the other thing I wanted to discuss today. We called it back in March that aliens.gov was going to be for UFO disclosure. And I had a lot of people saying, no, man, it's going to be for illegal aliens. I'm like, no. Aliens.gov is definitely going to be UFO disclosure. And guess what? This last week, they announced that, yes, in fact, the Pentagon was supposed to release a whole bunch of files that were classified on unidentified flying phenomena, whatever. Man, it's been UFO, UHI, UAP. They keep trying to shift the initials to confuse people. It's a UFO, man. Okay, it's an unidentified flying object.
It's like how
Okay.
they switched ICE agents to nice agents.
Right.
Oh, yeah, that was-
Yes, exactly. But they did announce that they're going to be releasing this information on aliens.gov. So my question to you guys is, how would you feel if you go to aliens.gov and there's all this declassified information? How do you think the world would react when all of a sudden they're like, oh, by the way, there's like 20 different extraterrestrial races that we're aware of, and we've been in contact with 10 of them? How would that change people's mindset around their lives?
Okay, so I'll speak a little bit about the people, but I can speak for myself.
Sure.
Because I am very different than the general consensus sometimes. But
Yeah, you guys gotta.
as a group of people would be very like disappointed and very scared because they're uncertain of what all the knowledge is. And now, being exposed to something out of nowhere is very frightening, especially something like this where people have been making movies about, horror movies about. So like, that being a reality, if it's true, that's kind of crazy. You know? It's an interesting topic to think about. It's a thesis to tickle, but for me personally, I think I would retire as a trader and go work there, just so I can go interact with the aliens. Like, yeah, just so I can go meet them. Because look, they can give you all the information you want on alien.gov, but it's nothing like actually being there.
There's
and,
always
like,
one guy trying to have sex with an alien.
man, that's not what it is.
There's always
not what it
one
is.
guy.
It's not what it
There's
is.
always one
Well,
guy.
if she gave you the opportunity, you're
See,
saying no.
I told you. I told you.
What do you think?
I think people would definitely be like not trusting the government. You know what I mean? Like, how could you keep such a important and like drastic fact from the public for so long? And it would definitely
And lie to us about it.
Yeah,
And tell us, oh, that
lie.
doesn't exist. Gaslight everybody about it.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't think it would sit well, to be honest. But I would love to meet an alien. That being said, you
We
know,
both
like
would.
Now, there's been a couple of insiders, ex-government employees, congressmen who claim to have been briefed on this phenomena. And one of them, I don't remember his name. It started with a B. I think it was Bucharest or something like that. Anyway, he mentioned that the truth is so incredible that he was depressed and couldn't sleep for many days. And this is very similar to what one of our ex-presidents, I think it was Jimmy Carter, who was also briefed on the UFO phenomena. He said the same thing. He said he broke down crying and it took him days or weeks to recover. And he ended up living till he was, I think, 90 something. I think he died last year or something like that. So what do you think? Do you think maybe that's why they've been withholding this information from the public? Do you think it could be that extreme to where it would just depress people and maybe cause mass suicide? Maybe that's why we're preventing the information from leaking out to the public. Do you think we deserve to know the truth, even if it's painful, or do you think we should be gaslit into just a happier life?
you can't handle the truth.
I personally, like, I can speak for my individual self. I'd rather know the truth than live in the doubt.
Yeah.
I think, like, either Franz Kafka or, like, Dostoevsky, they once said that, like,
Oh
they're
my
like,
gosh.
you know, but when I read my literature
Yeah,
books,
yeah,
you
you
know,
know.
like my poetry books or whatever, one of them speaks of, like, I believe Franz Kafka is, like, more a, he kind of says, oh, I'd rather not have experienced that so I don't have to go through that pain. But then the other one is like, I'd experience it a million times to go through that pain, but at least I know what came from it. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of live on that side of this tree. What do you think? I feel like you're more of a Ronald McDonald kind of guy.
No, I mean, well, first of all, the rogue doesn't read Kafka. Okay.
All right.
Second of all, well, I actually agree with the rogue's point. Like, I would much rather know than not know, you know, because I feel like I mean, at the end of the day, right, I'm a man of faith, right? And, you know, as some of us are, right, or most of us are, right? And so, like, when it comes to like aliens, right, I feel like it wouldn't really be that much of a shock to me, you know. I feel like people who look into conspiracies like us, you know, like, obviously go watch the Mad Bulgarians, Follow the Money, right? But like, I feel like people who are probing that idea won't be that surprised. It's like, oh, well, I guess it's just confirmed now, right? Like, what are we gonna do, you know?
Yeah, but do you think it's a generational thing? Do you think your generation's it's going to be much easier for your generation versus your parents?
Well, see, that's
and so
yeah.
forth?
For us, it'll be much easier because we've seen some crazy shit,
Yeah,
right?
I know, like pandemics, wars.
And our generation's so desensitized. I feel like we watch these wars occur just like on our phone. I mean, you could find videos of like the bombings in Gaza or like the war in Ukraine. Like, you can watch live battlefield footage on your phone.
Yeah,
and
people dying.
That's
right
so
there
crazy.
on
Like,
your phone. It's insane.
It's never been a thing. So
Yeah.
I feel like our generation is really desensitized. And I don't like aliens compared to like watching a baby get murdered is like maybe not the craziest
yeah.
thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
That's a good point.
Well, I think that's a good.
Yeah,
way to
that's
end
a
it.
that's a yeah, that's a little bit of a serious note to end it on. You know, like, obviously we talked about some interesting things today. I think we covered a lot. You know, make sure to keep your eyes on a couple things, right? Watch oil. Okay, watch the price of oil. That's the number one thing. Number two thing is also watch the price of the critical metal stocks right now, right? If escalations continue, they may come down a bit, right? Because they're not a direct oil play. However, keep your eyes on that, right? And then the second thing is keep up with follow the money, keep up with learn with the traders that's coming out soon, and the Bullionite moment. And yeah, obviously we'll see you guys back at
Next Wednesday, 2 p.m., 5 p.m. Well, 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
there we go. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
I would for sure be really cool with those.
Nice, guys.
Oh,